Hey family, this is Pastor Jonathan from New Hope North Community Church in North Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks for joining me in this installment of Pajama Pants Preaching. I keep hearing that we are in uncertain times. Well, it kind of makes me wonder, what times are certain? I'm a pretty intentional person. I like to plan things out. I've mentioned in previous posts that I'm doing a lot of home improvement projects lately. One that's pretty large and is taking a lot of planning. So that's good, and it's good for me, and it's good for getting things done, making plans. But I have to admit that also means that I struggle with being spontaneous, and that's not always good for me and my situation, because my wife Jennifer certainly likes it when I show a little spontaneity. But like I said, what times are certain? We never really know what's going to happen, even tomorrow, do we? As the Apostle James said in his letter in chapter 4, verses 13 through 15, he said, "Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that." And that's true, isn't it? Because, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't even know if we're going to take our next breath. So it's kind of funny that we're supposedly living in uncertain times when no times are really certain. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or later, in any time in history. And we should note, though, that James is not saying to not make a plan or to not care about what you're going to do today or tomorrow. He's saying that in humility, we should not be so sure of ourselves or not so sure about what our plans are, that God is in control of all things. In fact, I've heard a joke that says, if you really want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Because, of course, he knows what's really going to happen. And I think maybe he does kind of chuckle when we start making plans, when we think that we know what's going to happen, and when he actually does, and he says, gosh, those silly people are going to make these plans that aren't going to happen, that aren't part of his plan. It also makes me wonder, which was Jesus? Was he an intentional planner, or was he spontaneous? Well, I believe he was actually a perfect blend between the two. He was both a very intentional, but also could act spontaneously when he needed to. As one example, we know that he has an amazing plan for us and for our redemption. From the beginning of time, from the beginning before the world was created, Jesus had a plan for each of us. And he has planned that out from the beginning to the end. And we get a glimpse of that when we read Scripture, and we can see what God's plan was for all of mankind. But on the other hand, Jesus was also pretty spontaneous. There's an account from the Apostle Mark in chapter 5 of his Gospel, starting at verse 21, going through 43, where Jesus was on his way to see a little girl who was believed to be dead. And on his way there, a woman just touches his cloak and stops him, or he stops, really, turns around and is like, who's touched my cloak? And he stops and has a conversation with her. And the reason that she had even just dared to touch his cloak was that she had had a medical problem for years and years and years, had spent all the money that she had trying to get healed, and in fact she ended up worse off for the attempt. And Jesus just stopped what he was going to do and heard her story, listened to her, and healed her, seemingly very spontaneously. Isn't that amazing that God can be both a great planner and can be spontaneous? And so my question for you today is, which are you? Are you more of a planner or are you more spontaneous? And maybe we need to meet a little bit more in the middle sometimes. Those of us who are planners need to try to be a little more spontaneous, and others who are more spontaneous maybe need to plan some things out. But also that when we hear of these uncertain times, that no matter which side of the coin you're on, you should let it not unnerve you because things are uncertain. Like I said, things are always uncertain, and we're only kind of pretending or making ourselves feel better when we think things that we are in control, when it is God who's in control and really knows what the plans are, and he knows what his plans are for us, and they are for good. So with that, I hope you're encouraged to trust God in what his plan is for you, and even when things appear to be uncertain. We'd love to hear from you, so please connect with us at newhopenorthcc.com, or of course you can hashtag Pajama Pants Preaching. And until next time, be blessed, and may the Lord bless you and keep you.